The sky above my land was black with smoke. The air stung with the sickening smell of burning timber and fear. And there, at the fence line of my ranch, stood Gloria Whitmore, pretending to dial 911 with one hand, while her other hand rested smugly on her hip like she was enjoying front-row seats to my family's worst nightmare. Neighbors gasped. Horses screamed from their stalls, and Gloria, dressed in her white linen suit and pearls, just clucked her tongue and cooed, "Oh dear, how terrible!" But the twitch at the corner of her mouth told the truth. She was savoring every crackle of flame devouring my grandfather's century-old barn. Most folks thought I was insane for retiring at 37. But after 15 years working demolition in oil country, handling dynamite, jackhammers, and thick concrete, I'd had enough noise and bosses for a lifetime. So I took my buyout check, packed up my dog and my old tools, and bought back Hawthorne Ridge, the ranch my grandfather carved out of the Wyoming wilderness. 3 acres of dusty freedom, a hand-painted sign hanging crooked on the front gate. Not for sale. Not interested. That sign was more than a warning. It was my promise to my mother on her deathbed. The land stays in the family. No one takes it from us again. The ranch shared a fence line with Eagle Crest Estates, a shiny new suburban development full of look-alike mini-mansions, zero-lot line yards, and an HOA that wielded rules like a medieval sword. When my ranch smelled of hay and old oak, Eagle Crest smelled like fresh paint and money. One fine spring afternoon, while brushing down Silver, my dapple-gray stallion, I heard the purr of an engine so smooth it made my old F-150 seem like farm junk. A white Mercedes eased up to my gate. Out stepped Gloria Whitmore, who looked like she'd stepped straight off a real estate billboard. Heels stabbing the dirt, lips painted coral, eyes scanning my fence and my old barn like I'd dumped a junkyard next to her country club. "Good afternoon," she trilled. "I'm Gloria Whitmore, president of the Eagle Crest HOA. May I have a moment of your time about your property?" She said property the way a surgeon talks about an infected wound. I kept brushing Silver. "Can you read?" I asked, nodding at the crooked sign swinging on the gate. She tittered like I'd told a joke. "Oh, I'm not here to buy anything, Mr. Fletcher. I'm here to discuss your upcoming inclusion in our Community Standards Committee. We're expanding our HOA boundaries. It's for everyone's benefit, really." I stopped brushing and looked her dead in the eye. "Lady, I don't join clubs I didn't sign up for. My ranch has been here since before your development had streetlights. I'm not painting my barn to match your front doors, and I'm not paying you a dime in fees. So no." Her smile stayed plastered on, but her eyes hardened like polished stone. "Mr. Fletcher, perhaps you misunderstand. We have incorporated 6 properties in the past 2 years. Cooperation is always preferable to other means." Other means. There it was. The threat barely disguised. But I'd stare down half-collapsed high-rises rigged with dynamite. I wasn't about to be scared by a woman in white pumps. "Appreciate the introduction. Now get off my land," I said, turning my back and brushing Silver's neck again. I heard her heels retreat to the Mercedes. Before driving off, she hissed just loud enough for me to catch. "One man can't stand alone forever, Mr. Fletcher. You'll see." That night, I mowed the fence line with my ancient diesel mower. It belched smoke, backfired like a cannon, and sprayed grass clippings right onto Eagle Crest's perfect hydrangeas. A few neighbors peeked out their windows. I just grinned and waved. My grass. My land. I told the neighbor who dared to complain. Days passed. Then weeks. First, it was the code violations. Handwritten warnings tacked to my mailbox about excessive noise and unlicensed livestock. Then came the city inspections, animal control, zoning, health department. All found nothing wrong, but each cost me hours and nerves. When intimidation didn't work, Gloria tried sabotage. One morning, I found my barn lock cut and 2 horses missing. Spooked so bad they jumped a fence and wandered onto a nearby road. Thank God no one hit them. Each incident wore me thin, but what happened next snapped something in me for good. Late one night, I heard Silver screaming from the barn. I grabbed my shotgun, sprinted across the yard, and stopped cold at the sight of a coyote, bigger than any I'd seen, lunging at my terrified horses inside the stall. It wasn't rabid. It wore a collar, someone's half-wild pet, turned loose to cause havoc. I shot it dead, but not before it slashed Silver's shoulder open. Blood. Fear. Fire next? My gut said yes. A week later, the barn was ash. I was fixing the fence when I smelled it. Wood smoke sharp and fast. I bolted to the barn, but flames already danced in the rafters like devils. I grabbed the water hose, but it hissed dry. The fire hydrant down the road had been shut off. Maintenance, they claimed later. I could do nothing but watch as the barn built by my grandfather's calloused hands collapsed, burying a lifetime of memories and nearly killing my horses if I hadn't freed them in time. Gloria stood across the fence line in her silk robe, fake concern plastered on her lips, phone in hand for the show. That night, sitting on a stump in the smoking wreckage, I whispered to my old man's ghost, "Dad, I'm sorry, but I can't turn the other cheek anymore." You see, concrete was my life before this ranch. I knew how to blow it up and how to pour it so deep and solid it'd take an act of God to undo. So I decided it was time Gloria Whitmore learned about consequences. Her precious HOA's crown jewel, a $500,000 Olympic pool, blue as envy, 10 feet deep, visible from every window in her mansion. She bragged about it at every committee meeting. And that pool? It was my new target. First, I did my homework. My old friend Wayne Miller, now head of a concrete supply yard in Cheyenne, still owed me from a near catastrophe on a job in Denver. 10 full trucks. Saturday morning, I told him. He paused. "Fletcher, that's a lot of mud. What the hell are you pouring?" "An old nuisance. Long overdue foundation work. Do me this favor. No questions." He laughed. "For you? One-time favor. You better be clear by Monday." Saturday dawned bright and cool. Gloria's Mercedes was gone. She had brunch at the country club every weekend. Perfect. At 9 a.m. sharp, 10 cement mixers rumbled into Eagle Crest like a convoy of frontier justice. Neighbors peeked out from behind curtains, filming on cell phones. I stood in Gloria's driveway wearing my battered hard hat, a clipboard in hand, and a forged emergency environmental permit I whipped up in Photoshop. The lead driver climbed down, eyeing me. "Boss, we really doing this?" I nodded at the sparkling pool behind me. "Code violation. Contaminated water. Full fill." He shrugged. "Your trucks. Your job." The first chute swung over the pool's deep end. With a low roar, a river of thick, wet concrete spilled in, turning Gloria's turquoise jewel into a swirling gray swamp. One truck, then two, then four. By the time truck number 5 finished, the water was gone, swallowed by the unstoppable weight of fresh cement. By truck 7, the concrete overflowed, cracking the pretty mosaic tiles and spilling onto her marble patio. Neighbors watched, mouths open, as the HOA Queen's Pride turned to stone in real time. At truck 8, the Mercedes screeched back into the driveway. Gloria leaped out, slippers flying, hair in curlers, rage boiling off her like steam. "Fletcher, what the hell have you done?" I calmly flipped a page on my clipboard. "Emergency contamination response, ma'am. State order. Source neutralized permanently." She grabbed the paperwork. Her eyes darted left and right. Realizing too late half the block was filming this meltdown. "You think this is legal? I'll sue you for every penny. I'll see you homeless," she shrieked. I tipped my hat. "I'm just following orders, ma'am. And you just threatened me in front of witnesses. Enjoy your new patio." By 10:30 a.m., her pool was a 40-ton block of hardened rebar-laced concrete. Unmovable, unbreakable, the final monument to a neighborhood tyrant's fall. 3 days later, Gloria Whitmore was arrested for insurance fraud, harassment, and conspiracy when an anonymous tip, my careful dossier, landed on the county prosecutor's desk. Turns out she'd orchestrated similar accidents for every neighbor who'd stood in her way. She spent 18 months in prison. When she got out, she wasn't welcome in Eagle Crest. Her mansion sold cheap to pay legal fees. Her ex-husband sued her for hidden debts. The once feared queen of the HOA now rents a one-bedroom apartment in Casper, working the front desk at a nail salon. Me? I rebuilt my barn stronger than ever. Steel beams, concrete foundation, sprinkler system. My new stallion's name? Reckoning. And the crooked sign still swings on my gate. Not for sale. Not interested. Beside it now hangs a second sign, painted by hand. Concrete work available. Satisfaction guaranteed. Folks laugh when they see it. But those who know the story, they get the message loud and clear. So tell me, ever had an HOA bully push you too far? Drop your war stories below. Just remember, sometimes you don't wait for karma. Sometimes you pour it yourself, one cement truck at a time.